Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Up Supercast Game Club. My name is Brandon. I am your host. I am your handsome host. I am the guy with the most to boast. I don't know what I'm going to boast about, but I'll find something eventually.
Is it your high-level Dragon Ball Fighterz play?
It definitely is not that. That is probably not something I would ever boast about. But today with me, I have fellow Up Supercast members. We're going to start off with my favorite one, Will.
Heyo.
And that's only because he's the host, and I want to stay on his good side of, the normal episode.
Strategic plays.
Yes. We also have today here Saf.
Sup?
And probably one-time Up Supercast Game Club member, Muzzy.
We'll see how long this gig lasts.
Well,
Appreciate it while you got it, folks.
yeah, he's here for at least this episode.
Yeah, I can't guarantee I'll be here after this, but
Yeah, he's very iffy on whether or not he's gonna play the games that we play. So if you don't know what this is a little bit different from your normal Up Supercast episode. This is the Game Club. So basically, we're just like a book club, but a lot better because we play video games instead of reading stupid books.
yeah, no one reads books.
Nobody reads books. That's outdated. What is this? 1841? Come on.
We're not a bunch of nerds. We're just playing anime fighting games, idiots.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So every 2 weeks, we're going to get together and we're going to talk about a game. We're all going to play the same game. It's going to be a lot of fun. For the first episode, this just happened because we were all playing the same game at the same time. So for the first episode, we all played Dragon Ball Fighterz.
Yep.
And just, it was perfect. It came out pretty recently. So we all knew we were playing it, so that was going to be our first game on the first episode.
Yeah.
So if you don't know anything about Dragon Ball Fighterz, you've probably been living under a rock. But Dragon Ball Fighterz is a 2.5D fighting game developed by Arc System Works and was published by Bandai Namco. It came out on January 26, 2018, so a couple weeks ago. Came out worldwide that day, except for Japan. They got it February 1st, which is crazy to think about a Dragon Ball game coming out in Japan after everywhere else. I don't know if that's the first time that's happened. I feel like probably.
I think it happened for Xenoverse 2 also, but I can't tell you for sure.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know for sure either, but still, I mean, that just shows you, how big Dragon Ball is around the world.
Yeah.
For a game like this, obviously based on a manga in Japan, it's been around forever. Everybody knows what Dragon Ball is.
I hope so.
I don't think there would be a person listening to this right now that doesn't know or at least has heard of Dragon Ball.
I mean, if you Google anime and you go to the image results, the first image is Goku, right? And when you think of anime, the most prominent one in the West especially has got to be Dragon Ball.
Yeah, the pioneer of anime, Dragon Ball Z. In the West, at the very least.
Yeah, everybody knows it, and for good reason. It's very good. It's very fun. It's very lighthearted, fun action. It's basically what everybody wants, really, in a show, in movies. At least definitely what every guy wants, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it's got mainstream appeal for everybody, though. Not just men, not just children, not just teens. Everybody. It's very universal.
Yeah, I mean, Vegeta's shirtless in the most recent episode of Super, so that's, a little bit for those who enjoy the XY chromosome more. There's stuff there.
So this is, like I said, this is a fighting game. So, we're going to start with not the gameplay, but we're going to first talk about the graphics of Dragon Ball Fighterz.
Yes.
So that's our first category. Who wants to start? Will, you want to start talking about the graphics?
Okay, I am ready. So
right.
I don't know how the rest of the guys have had a relationship with Arc System Works as a company. I got into their games from Persona 4 Arena onwards, but on the PS4 there was, and on the PS3 as well, a game called Guilty Gear Xrd, which came out back in 2014. And I saw it and I said, holy crap, we're doing it. Like, we're getting to the point where it just looks like anime. Like, it's a 3D model, but the way the engine works, the way the lighting works, it just looks like it's 2D animation. But because it is 3D, they're allowed to be more varied, more versatile, and also to produce games faster. And so for a long time, if you had asked me, like, hey, what's a dream game? Me saying Arc System Works making a big, high-budget Dragon Ball game was up there on the list of dream games. And I think it's easy to see why. This game sold very well when it launched, I think entirely off the back of it looks like Dragon Ball, right? When Vegeta shoots a Final Flash,
as far as I can tell,
it's
yeah,
like
it
when
looks
Vegeta
like
shoots
Dragon
a Final Flash in the show. Sometimes it looks better. And that is a thing worth celebrating, and that is interesting just because... Like Street Fighter V is a game that came out this generation, right? Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, another game that came out this generation. This has been a generation that has not had a huge amount of like graphical appeal to fighting games, especially fighting games from Japan. There's Tekken, and that's just about it. And so for this game to sort of bust on the scene and say, hey, we play incredibly well, but also we're gorgeous, right? And we have attention to detail in like little things along the way is incredible.
For sure. I remember when this game first, we first got footage of this game, and I was, rightfully excited about it. The first thing I would say to people, because I tried to show as many people as I could that I knew cared about Dragon Ball, and the first thing I would say, or they would say, they would beat me to it, was, this looks just like the anime. This looks incredible.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, that's the main appeal here, right? Is like,
yeah.
It even though it's 3D and it's always crazy, right, when they shift the camera and you see the 3D model, because then you remember, oh shit, this is actually 3D, because in gameplay it looks like it's just hand drawn and it looks like the show. It's crazy. It looks like 2D animation. It's incredible.
It really does. I had to explain that. Mitch was over my house this morning, and I was playing it, and he's like, I don't get why the load times are so long, which we'll get to that later. But he goes, I don't get why the load times are so long if this is just 2D animation. I was like, but it's not.
No.
I was like, these are 3D models.
You just got tricked.
That's how good of a job they did.
Mm-hmm.
Saf, how did you feel about the graphics?
The graphics, there's nothing more I can add than what's already been said. Like, it perfectly encapsulates the anime really well. And they've done things in terms of like the story details, or like even gameplay that kind of like takes scenes from the show and just add it to the game, and the graphics just helps capture those moments perfectly. Like, it's nothing more beyond that I can add to this. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Because like I think that there's inherently in a lot of Dragon Ball games, there's the appeal of like, you get to see the stuff that happened in the show, right? Like that's the thing that Xenoverse does, Xenoverse 2 does, a bunch of the fighting games prior to this one do. This game has a unique story, and we'll get into that later. But the thing that's great is that you still get those moments from the show with like the unique intros the characters have, right? Like if you're Goku and Frieza fighting on Namek, instead of it just starting normally, you see Frieza blow up Krillin, and then Goku get mad and go Super Saiyan, just like in the show. And it looks like the show, and you're like, oh, this is so good, right? When you beat him on Destroyed Namek, you get the end of the Frieza saga. It's super good.
It is great. And thank God that we don't have to play through the story again, because as much as I love the story of Dragon Ball Z, boy, am I burnt out on playing through it on every single game.
Yes.
I can only play through the Saiyan saga so many times before I want to blow my brains out.
We might talk about story later, and there are some issues with the story, but I think we can all say that we are thankful that they at least tried a new thing.
Yeah, it's not a retelling of goddamn Saiyan, like, here's Nappa, here's Raditz, and then here's Nappa and Vegeta. It's like, I don't want to see all that again. I know this story
Luckily, I think they've been, going away from that. I know Dragon Ball Xenoverse, kind of retells it, but, it's also with a twist. So at least, you have that, and it's kind of got its own original storyline. Like, thankfully, they've really gotten away with that. I think they realized everybody's played these stories. They know these stories. We got to put a twist on it, because people are they don't really want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Sure.
But anyway, we all feel very good about the graphics. I feel like, honestly, I don't know if you could get closer or better for a Dragon Ball game in terms of graphics.
I mean, like little nitpick, they could get better on the backgrounds, but otherwise, yeah, like it's great.
Yeah, maybe, but everything looks like it needs to. It's good.
Goku,
So we're gonna move into the. Oh, I'm sorry, Saf. What are you saying?
I was going to say, I don't think there's ever a game that will fix Goku's hair. Like,
Do you think it looks bad?
In this game?
It could. I mean, it doesn't. I think that's the one thing that kind of like keeps my attention. Like, it breaks me away from the game. It's like his hair looks kind of weird. Like, it doesn't look like the anime hair, which is something that is impossible to emulate. I admit that.
That's a very weird thing to mention.
It is, but it's just.
I mean, Goku's hair is an enigma. It's in 2D, sure, but in 3D, it's like kind of like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
When you put The Simpsons into a 3D model, it's kind of like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's just too is that like you can play fast and loose with different angles in 2D, but because the same 3D model, like it's the same perspective all the time, you see how like, oh, Goku's hair doesn't look right from that angle. But I before you mentioned this, I never noticed, so I think it's pretty small scale, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on into the sound and music department. We'll start with Saf. Saf, what were your thoughts about the sound and the music in this game?
The sound and the music. There's been some good tracks in that game, man. There's some really good tracks. Like, I love playing Invest City. Like, that song is really, really good. And they've managed to capture the sound effects. Like, Dragon Ball Z is one of those unique things where it's like the sound effects are so distinct and so iconic that you can recognize it from anywhere, and they've managed to capture it really well. So I'm not too beefed about that. They've stayed faithful on that front, but the music itself, they've went a long way. Like, I love how weird they got with the music, like with Hit and the fucking jazz theme that they get.
Oh, it's so good. I was going to specifically mention Hit's theme. It's so good.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's all in all great.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked the music, because it was like, I mean, I played Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 on mute. Because I mean, it's not the worst sounding thing, but it's like I'd rather just listen to a podcast or something, you know. But the Dragon Ball,
this one.
But with Dragon Ball Fighterz, no, I play it with the volume up, and I want to listen to what the sounds in the game. You know, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it.
I like you said, because I think a lot of the pre-release and sort of my notion coming into the game was like there was just a lot of like. Just like rockish, metalish songs, right? Like, and so like, and that is in the game, but there is enough variety outside of it that if you ever get tired of just hearing a grungy guitar noise, there are other options.
Yeah, it almost there's a lot of different tracks, and some of them really get you going. Like,
I do like
playing it.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I do like that you can. Will was talking about like the variety in music, and I like that you can pick any track for whatever stage you're playing. Like, it doesn't have to be like that stage's theme. You know.
Tip if you're playing the game, when you're selecting your team, they let you pick your music. Don't just go with the default song for the stage. Like, all of the characters individually have their own themes that I don't know that you see anywhere else. Like, I don't know where you would find them naturally, but some of the best songs in the game are character themes. Like we mentioned Hit's theme specifically, but just check out all those songs. Like, as you're editing your team, just try a new track every so often, and you might find one that you're like, yo, this clicks. This one feels good to fight to.
For sure. Can I also mention like the voice acting as part of the sounds?
Sure, of course.
The voice acting is great. Like, they obviously Funimation, they've done a good job. They've kept all the actors, which is great. But they also added Android 21, and I love her voice. Like, I love the way she acts in this game.
You can tell the lady who voiced 21 loves getting to do this evil voice. She's so into like being this spoiled little kid, and we'll get more into her later. But you're right. It's super good. A thing that I also love is that, like, because there's the big scenes, right? But I love just little stuff. Like, I was capturing to put video on this, hopefully, when we go live on YouTube. And I noticed when I was playing as Goku versus Frieza that not a huge thing, but just when Goku comes in, he goes, "Frieza, it's done!" Like, he specifically calls out the character he's fighting. Like certain characters will mention each other
Yeah.
just apropos of nothing. I mean, like, just be like entirely situationally, right? It's not like it's a cutscene. It's just a throwaway
so
line.
Much.
Yeah.
I love it. Because a lot of fighting games just have, everybody has their intro and that's it. But to have, intros based on, who they're fighting and them interacting with each other, it's so nice. It's so cool. And they mention, parts, from the lore of the show.
Yeah.
Hey, remember what happened the last time we fought, blah, blah, blah. And that just feels so, I don't know. If you follow the show, it just feels real good.
That's probably my actual favorite part of the game. Is just like the way these characters interact, right? Like they put so much detail into like the intros, the outros, even like when certain characters are together in story mode. Like
or seeing characters interact that you never thought would is also very good.
Like Android 18 is like weirdly like really nice to Gohan, and it's like interesting.
Because she's mother. Because they're both parents. Like, they're the two most responsible parents in the entirety of Dragon Ball. So they have that in common, So it's fun to see that, to see like different, because a lot of times with Dragon Ball you see these characters through the lens always of like, I'm fighting you and I'm fighting you, right? So it's fun to have like, we'll get to story I think more when we get to gameplay, but there's a scene that I love where it's Goku and Frieza when you're on the same team in story mode, and they mention, and Frieza's like, how do you know Beerus? And he's like, oh, I fought him before, but he didn't go all out. And Frieza's like, what are you doing? Why would you fight the god of destruction? You're crazy. Like, why? Yeah. And Goku's like, I'm going to get stronger and fight him again, and I want him to go full force. And Frieza's sort of just like, you poor monkey. Like, there's this like weird affection for it. It's like, you're just so dumb. Like, I can't help you.
That scene was great.
My favorite scenes are just them shitting on Yamcha. For whatever reason, I just love that.
There's a lot of good.
The poor man.
There's one where Krillin, Yamcha, and Goku are together, and Goku's like, Yamcha, you know, I know you haven't been kept up with training, but it's not like you have a girlfriend or anything. So like, what's going on here?
and I'm just like, it's complicated, dude. It's complicated. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's very good. I mean, like, we could just do an hour of just like funny interactions, but like they're also they're very good.
The sound of music also top notch, so it's getting some high praises so far. We haven't found too many bad things, but as we move into gameplay, maybe we'll find a couple things we didn't like. Muzzy, we're gonna start with you here for gameplay.
Okay.
So it's a fighting game.
Yes.
How well versed are you at fighting games, and how did this game hold up for you?
I am awful at fighting games. I enjoy them. Like I'll dabble in Street Fighter, I'll dabble in Marvel vs. Capcom, but I'm completely awful at them. Like every time I boot it up after.
Literally same.
Yeah, it's like every time I boot up one of those games after like a good while, I'm like I have to remember how to do certain inputs. Like it takes me some time to get into it, right? But this one, I love it. I super love how this feels because they simplified the gameplay so much, not to where it's like, well, like the fighting game crowd wouldn't enjoy it because they seem to love it too, right? But they made the controls make sense for a controller, and I super appreciate that, right? Like every character does their specials in the same way, right? You never do an input more complicated than a quarter circle, right? That is the most complicated it gets.
Yeah, every super, the level 1 super is forward quarter circle in R1. Every level 3 super is backwards quarter circle in R1, no matter what. You don't ever have to pause, because the thing that happens a lot when you play a fighting game, with friends especially, is you just have to start the match, pause, and show them the command list for what everything is, right? Here's all of your specials. Let me explain what these specials are, right? But I can just, I had a friend come over who we play fighting games fairly often, but he's not hugely into them. I was like, everything's quarter circles. It's like a Hadouken. Every projectile's on the X button, and your melee attacks are on square, triangle, circle, and that was all I needed to do. That's all you had to do.
You have no idea how much. You have no idea how much I just open up that fucking menu whenever I played Mortal Kombat with a friend.
It really is like the only fighting game I can play. Because I played this locally with a friend too, and it worked super great, right? Like it was easy to explain everything, and it's the only fighting game besides Smash that I could do that, where it's just like boom, like here's a 2-second explanation, and we got it, you know. and the auto combos are super great for that too, right? Like they really take the pressure off of the player who doesn't know how to do things, because like, you know, a lot of players in fighting games tend to just a lot of casual players will just tend to button mash, right? And this kind of makes it feel it feels good to button mash, as odd as it is, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not so overly simplified that like a player who is noticeably worse will just beat another player. There is still enough depth there that a high level player can see. You can see the difference, right? You can see the difference in mentality of how you play. And that doing like true combos still do more damage than auto combos, things like that do reward spending time in the training and practicing. My one complaint, and it's not a huge complaint, it's relatively minor, with the accessibility of the game, is that Guilty Gear Xrd 2 Revelator, gosh, what a awful name, but that game has a actually super good tutorial, the best fighting game tutorial I've ever played. It not only explains you like, hey, here's button inputs, but it explains to you, this is the situation you want to use this tool. This is the situation you want to dash. This is the situation you want to be doing a guard break, yada, yada. And that's also an Arc System Works game. They did not bring that system into Dragon Ball Fighterz. It is much more just like, here's a combo. Like, here's the inputs to do a combo. But it doesn't explain to you where and why you want to use a combo, which is where the nitty-gritty of fighting games comes into play, right? So I wish that they did that, but like I said, I don't think that the tutorial is particularly bad. It's just that we've seen them do a better job before in the previous game they released.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to talk about the modes in the game?
Yeah, so there's multiple different modes in the game. They're basic fighting game modes, nothing really out of the ordinary. So you got arcade, you have practice, you have online with the ranked. You have story mode that we dabbled a little bit into, but a couple other things about it. So the game doesn't really have a menu screen per se, and this is kind of one of my complaints. Because when you boot the game up, what it does is it takes you into an online lobby automatically, and if you can't connect to it, you can thankfully get to an offline lobby, which I tend to do when I'm just trying to play the story mode. But it kind of pisses me off a little bit because they're kind of wasting my time. I just wish there was an option maybe to just get right into an offline lobby.
Is, if you're in the lobby and you just press L2, it brings up all of the game modes.
Right, but I don't want to have to sit through the trying to connect to lobby, this and that. Like,
like, because every time you boot up the game, you have to see those 3 loading screens, you know.
It does. Yeah. It takes too long to load in, I would say.
Yeah. It takes very too long. So, you know, that's a little bit of a gripe right there. But anyway, you get to the online lobby, which is kind of cool though, right? It's this, you know, this big kind of a circle area, and each game mode is around the edge of the circle.
Has cute little chibis.
Everybody's got a little chibi avatar. They kind of, you get to pick and unlock new ones. They're all different Dragon Ball characters, not even just the characters in the game. Like,
you can be Goldo, baby.
You can be Goldo. You can be Poir. Not smoking a cigarette, sadly, but you can be Poir.
No one's going to get
that. Poir. I might be wrong, actually. I swear to God, you can. But you can be a bunch of different characters. Yamcha in a baseball suit. That's my favorite. That's the one I used.
As you can see, I use pink Chaozu for my good friend Kevin.
That's very nice. But yeah, you walk around, and when you're on an online lobby, you get to see everybody else. I think, there's everybody else is walking around. So there's this one, it's based on the World Tournament arena, basically. And you have you got an arena matches right in the middle, which are just basically people just jumping into quick matches. So you go over and you just kind of jump in it's a big circle, and it randomly matches you up against people who are also there, trying to do an arena match. And then in the back, you've got online matchmaking, worldwide ranked mode.
Yes.
And see, this is where I have a huge complaint. First of all, so the lobby system it's cute and everything, right? But yeah, first of all, the lack of basic invites, right? Like almost every PlayStation, Xbox game, I can just throw out an invite and we could play like that, right? That's not possible in this game.
Yep.
So we have to coordinate to get into the same lobby. Number one, that's bullshit, right? Because then I'm repeating to my friend, like Will. Me and Will played online, and so I had to tell Will, "Hey, join arena match first lobby 8 in US East Coast 3." It's like that's the stupidest thing.
Yeah,
you know,
we are hacking. It feels like we are hacking into the game to be able to play online together.
And then we have to wait for us to be able to sync up, and we can see each other. And then one of us has to start a match. And then now this is this may not apply in the future. But at the moment, or at least when we played...
Well, I mean, I will say it's already better than it was when we...
Yeah, it's already better than it was.
Yeah.
But so the first time we did it, though, right? It kept having this annoying error where it was like, no rooms found every time we try to connect to each other, right?
Yeah.
And this went on for like 40 minutes.
You can walk around the ring lobby, press R2, and you can make a ring match, right? Which means you'll just stand there, have it be open. Anyone that can join, which is actually fun. Like the other day, I tried specifically, I was like, I'm not going to go online random matchmaking. I'm going to join other people in the ring lobby. And it was fun because you do recurring matches enough and you can watch other people play, so you can learn other people's play styles and learn, which is good. That's a great idea. It's just that we are missing that basic functionality of like, there's a local lobby.
Being able to play with a friend.
Yeah.
That's the worst, man. I bought it on Xbox One. One of my buddies was buying it, and the night it came out, he's like, hey, let's just, before we do anything, let's just get into some matches and play against each other. We couldn't. The first night that game came out, we could not. It was impossible. We figured it out. It took us a good half an hour to figure out. We had to look it up online to figure out how to fucking do it.
Yeah,
right?
It's not even intuitive, right? Like, just forget it not working at all. It's just not like... just to figure out how to do it is a problem.
It was so dumb, man. It took us a good half an hour just to figure out how to do it, and it took him Googling it to figure out how to do it. You shouldn't have to do that. I'm sorry. That's some stupid shit. And when we finally figured it out, it didn't work. He made, we got together.
You got the
glitch,
and you just have to turn off your entire system and turn it back on is the way to try to...
And hope it works this time.
Yeah, what we ended up doing was going into arena and just saying no to everybody else until we got matched up against them. That's what we had to do.
Great, right? And this is stuff that like potentially can get patched in. They can add in a basic functionality.
Sure.
But for right now, it is an issue, right?
It is. That's my
now matching
I think my biggest gripe of the game.
Matching up with randoms,
gripe of the game.
I do like a thing about matching up with randoms, which is one. There's a ranked and casual, which is good, right? Casual is good to play in, but I like that there is the 2 out of 3 system, right? So that if you go, you can either choose to rematch or to return to lobby, but you do a 2 out of 3, right? Which is good because sometimes people can get a lucky win, right? And so that's fun, and plus it's fun because you get more of an arc with an individual, right? Because the thing I think that is most appealing about fighting games is the one-on, like, when you lose in a fighting game, there's no one to blame but yourself, right? People get salty, they blame the lag, they blame whatever, but the game tells you, by the way, up top, when you're doing online, how many, frame delays there are. So, like, it is 2 frames, 3 frames, yada, yada. But really, like, there's no one to blame but yourself. And so it's fun to, like, get stomped that first time, do the rematch, figure it out, have a close to win, and then like just in that one microcosm of one conflict with one guy, learn, adapt, and grow, which is the fun part of fighting games.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And the actual netcode is great. Playing with someone, I had no issues there.
Yeah.
It's
literally just add in the basic functionality of friend invites is the biggest issue.
Yeah. For sure.
I want to talk about story mode if that's okay. Because I think it caught me off guard when I went into it and I saw three like choices, right? You originally kind of. So you have the first one, which is there's sort of 3 separate arcs within the story mode of Dragon Ball Fighterz. The first one is where you play as this is going to be spoilery, so just be aware. We'll hopefully have a timestamp to when we get to the actual ranking of the game on the list, but until then, there's potential spoilers abounding here. There's the Goku arc. There's the villains arc, which is specifically Frieza, and then there's the androids arc, which that last one's what caught me off guard. And in addition to the fun little micro interactions of the characters just on the different teams that you have, there's also an overarching story, which is, let me think of a generous word to use, a little beleaguered. They're working very hard to justify why all these characters are able to fight each other.
Yeah. But it's also who cares, right?
Yes, it's true.
At the same time.
It's equal parts that, right? But it's very funny that they're like, there are these waves that keep people weak, and that's why Yamcha could beat up Frieza right now. And it's like,
yeah.
It's like, I just love how much effort they basically took to make it to where Yamcha could fight. It's so essentially
and
what's
all
happening.
all the clone characters, right? So they could add as much filler shit.
Yes.
With keeping fights in there.
Yeah.
But
And just the whole excuse of why it's one-on-one is hilarious. It's like...
your soul is inside Frieza, and that's what allows you to fight. Like, because Frieza can control his body when your soul's in there.
They're too weak to fight on their own right now, but for some reason the waves aren't affecting you, so when you take over someone's body, like...
they can fight at their natural power, but you don't know how to use their body, which is why there's an RPG system in this story mode, which is very weird. You can...
Yeah, I wanted to mention that, the RPG system, which is, I guess, all right. I like RPG, kind of stuff with... You level up after every fight, or not every fight, but you get experience. And your characters also have... there's these power boosts that you can give them to power up your attack, regain more health after each match, get more money, power up your specials, kind of stuff like that, basic stuff, which is kind of cool. I found myself early on in the game, just once I got all 3 Zenny ones, I was like, well, this is very, very easy right now, so I'm just going to put on 3 Zenny boosts and just get as much money as possible.
Hopefully there should be some footage of story mode playing as we're talking about it here, that you can see. I think I actually do like is that if you get hurt in a match, your damage carries over, right? So you either need to bench that character and they'll heal faster, or you have to understand that you're gonna be walking in with with less HP in the next fight, right? And you can equip abilities that give you more HP back when you win a match and stuff like that. But I think that's good because the story mode, I mean, you'll look like I'm playing in this footage towards the end of the second arc. And the enemies are fighting back, but understand that for the first, basically all until 20 minutes prior to me capturing this footage, the enemies, there was one time that I was looking away and just beat and almost perfected a match, right? It's very easy.
I got a perfect on a match by spamming X.
Yes.
The entire time. I didn't move the joystick at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just pressed X the entire match and I got a perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, the first...
Just to prove that
Yeah, the first arc was especially egregious with how easy it was.
Yeah.
I'm doing the third arc, and the third arc is harder, right? It is you do have to engage, right?
Yeah.
They will do multiple supers.
If you played arcade, it's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the harder difficulty. They don't fuck around.
I want to make mention of the arcade mode because I do think it's neat. Because problem with arcade mode is that a lot of the times the first couple stages are super easy, right? Like in any fighting game, because they progressively get harder. And that's true of this game. I think that in the footage I play arcade mode a little bit. There's one match that I don't get hit at all. But the thing that is nice is that in those easy matches, there's a branching path that happens, right? When you start off arcade mode, you see a bunch of different potential pathways, and the path you take is determined by how you did in the previous fight. So that includes how much HP you have, how fast you did the fight, how stylish you were, including your finishes, and how much character variety you used. And so by playing well, you go into harder and harder paths. So the difficulty is adaptive, right? If you had a fight where you did really bad and the game's like, oh, it's getting a little too hairy for him, they'll send you down a lower path that has fewer rewards, but is more feasible with your skill level right now. And then the higher and higher up you go, the better the rewards are, but the more challenge you will be facing along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I like that on the footage that I took. The ultimate top, if you did S rank the entire way, the final set of 3 characters is just Goku Black, and Goku Blue. It's just a family of Kakarats. That's what we're doing.
And the thing we didn't talk about either was the fact that the story mode has a map screen kind of too. It kind of reminds me of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 story mode, which it had a map that you move around on. You have a limited number of turns. I didn't really maybe
you never really have a huge
you never
issue.
really run out of turns.
Yeah.
I found myself getting kind of bored in kind of wanting to get but I wouldn't let myself do it. But I kind of just wanted to get to the boss character and say fuck all the matches and all the rest. But I also well, I got to do it.
You got to stay leveled. But I mean, because that's the trade-off, right? Is that you put in less time, but the other enemies will be having more HP walking in than you will, because that's the primary thing that levels affect. Yeah. How do we? I want to, if it's okay, I want to talk a little bit about the one original character for this game. We mentioned her a little bit earlier, Android 21, both in the story and as an original character. Because one, she's weird. What a weird character. Like, what a weirdest thing to add. Like, hey, Dr. Duro had a banging wife, apparently. Okay. This is 16's mom. All right. Okay. Talk to me. She's pink now? All right. Cool. She's a Majin? Okay. And spoilers for the final arc, much like in the original Buu Saga, there's the good and evil. They split off the good Android 21, the bad Android 21. And my favorite thing in the world, this is my favorite thing, and this is literally like the final cutscene spoiler, so get a little ready. For the next like 15 seconds, listeners. The good Android 21 sacrifices herself to help take out the evil 21, and everyone's very sad, and they're very disappointed. And Goku just goes, wait a minute, what are we doing? I've died like 4 times. We can just wish her back, or we can just ask King Yemma to bring her back. Oob is around. What are we? It's fine. And everyone's just sort of like, oh yeah, actually it is totally fine. And that is, I love that. I love it for the first time. People love forever to joke about how Dragon Ball has no stakes to death, and they now recognize that they're just like, oh, she's got like 4 more chances to get resurrected by Dragon Balls. Who cares?
It's fine.
I love how they reference that quite often. They do that joke quite a bit, where it's like, why do we care that people die? We could just resurrect them.
Yeah, there's no consequence of death.
Yeah.
And it's whatever.
Yeah, I think they're aware that like they're not telling War and Peace, right? They're telling a fighting game story, and 21's a cool character. In terms of gameplay, she's interesting because a critique that I've heard among harder fighting game fans, people that are more into it than I think any of us are, is that a lot of the characters in the game can be very samey, right? That there are like every character has a universal combo of just light, medium, heavy. Just do that and you'll be fine, right? And then you can launch into the air, do down heavy, you'll launch them higher. That's how you do a combo in this game. It applies to almost any character. But I like that 21, among all the characters, is the most arc system works because she has the most just like weird systems going on with her of fighting. But also that like a lot of the universal stuff doesn't apply to her, right? She has a move where she can grab anyone and absorb one of their moves, right? So if she grabs anyone from Goku's family, she gets the Kamehameha or the Solar Flare. Vegeta's family, you get the multiple Ki Blasts. And if you do the androids, you get the barriers, right? So that's cool because it means that like there's a variety to, and then you can cash in those absorbed abilities in a really big super. And so I don't think that partially because you have to beat the story mode to unlock her, I haven't seen a lot of talk about her style of play, but I think she's very cool and neat, both as a character and as a fighting game character, right? Both as like a story person
I
and
agree.
as a person you fight as.
I welcome her with open arms. She's very, very cool.
Best original OC character, do not steal. Created.
She's just really cool. Her character is funny. The voice acting is top notch. You know, she's also an evil bitch that you like love to hate.
She really like 16 is her son, and there's multiple times in the first 2 arcs where she just straight up blasts him dead and is like stupid traitor, and you're like, whoa, Jesus Christ. You just killed your kid. You're pretty evil. Like even Frieza didn't do that.
She's pretty evil, but she's also very pretty.
We're gonna make it without mentioning it, but here we are.
So I feel like there's a couple other things I wanted to just run over real quick. One was the loading times, which I guess was a knock on the game. One of my very few knocks on the game. It's just the loading times, and I think you guys might have been playing it on the PS4 Pro. So
Yes.
yeah, Saf.
It's not as bad there.
Yes. And it's universally not as bad on the PS4 versus the Xbox One.
I have I don't have the Xbox One X either, so I have the original Xbox One. It's a good 20 seconds for every single match. It's
Jesus,
very
yeah,
bad.
Oh,
The
that's
only good thing I can say about it is the loading screen music is very nice.
bad.
Yeah, because I played at a friend's house on an Xbox One, and that's how I first witnessed it. I was like, what the hell?
It makes the
I should be done with this match. I'm not waiting.
yeah. I've had matches in story mode that are shorter than the loading screen themselves. I really have. It's very bad.
Oh, that's dire.
And well, loading up the game, and I put it on my Snapchat one day because I was in a bad mood. I turned the game on and I just recorded. Just starting up the game fucking took forever. I was like, I just want to play this game.
And that is actually universal, right?
Yeah.
It's starting up the game on any platform. It's just like, this takes forever. Just let me get into it. But
I don't want to sound like a nostalgia boy, but like, I used to be able to just pop in a game and it would turn right on, right? What the fuck? And I get it, though. I mean, it's a product.
it's just like, there's just like, because it's a fantastic game all around. It's just like the really only quirks are the weird like quality of life stuff, right? Like the long loading times, the terrible lobby system, just like things like that really kind of detract from it overall.
Of note,
Yeah.
this doesn't really relate, but I think it's interesting. This game's really small.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
In an era where like Doom is 90 gigs on my PS4 and I can't play anything else on it, this game is like 4 gigs. You're like, wow, this is great. I can actually play it at midnight when I start downloading the day before instead of having to wait till 2 p.m. the next day.
They're prepped for that Switch version.
Well, we saw the PC version that looks like the GBA
yeah, the
game.
PC version on the lowest settings looks very nice. So I think we've basically covered all we wanted to say about the game. You guys have anything else to add? No?
Nope. I'm ready to list it up.
I'm so incredibly happy that Arc System Works has a big commercial success.
They do deserve
I just want to put
they
that
do
out there
deserve.
because I've been a huge advocate
Yes.
for this company for so
I
long.
think
So
the only
yes,
Arc
it's very
System
good.
Work game... Well, I played their Extreme Butoden on the 3DS, which was really good.
other
I
Dragon Ball
liked
game,
that
yeah.
game. And I think they did Blaze Blue, am I correct? Yes, I played Blaze Blue as well, which is very fun. I like Blaze Blue. The character designs in that game are also really cool. But I've also, from afar, been a fan of Guilty Gear and stuff. You know, never really played it, but I've also admired their work, like, you know, artistically.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that like for a long time they were beloved, but also so hard to get into, right? And I think that's part of what is nice about Fighters is that like for the first time I can wholeheartedly say, hey, if you don't like fighting games a lot, try this game out, which is fun.
Like just
Yeah,
liking
that is
Dragon
true.
Ball's enough.
And that's-
You know? But yeah, go on.
I'm sure going to be the main reason why a lot of people play this game. Yes, we now are going to move into putting it on the Jump Up Supercast game list. This is the only exception to the rule. We have a couple rules for the game list if you do not know. If you don't know anything about the list itself, we are just basically adding different games to this list. And this list is us ranking the best games of all time in order from best to worst. We should have a link or at least some sort of form of the list that you guys can probably look at in the description. If not, we can give you some sort of link. So there will be a way you can see the list yourself as we talk about it. And we do have a couple rules about the list, and not very many, besides Muzzy's always wrong. And that the game has to be a year old just to, you know, let it simmer down, get us the best impressions you can of the game. You know, because your opinions might change. The only exception to the rule is if we play it for the game club. And
Yeah.
so that is going to be the exception. The only exception to that rule. So here we are. We got the list up. We're all looking at it. I think I'll start, because I didn't start any other categories. And so we all know how we feel about the game at this point, so we don't really have to explain ourselves until we match up against something else. So
No.
my thought is, I want to put it here at number 4. Number 4.
So that would be above Shovel Knight Treasure Trove.
So that would be
Above
below
Shovel
Donkey
Yep.
Kong Country 2.
Yep. That's
Yes.
what I'm feeling. I think it's the best Dragon Ball Z game I have ever played. and I think it is the pinnacle of Dragon Ball games. They're gonna have a hard time outdoing themselves at this point.
Yeah. Brandon, I agree with that placement. That was also my thought.
Okay, I mean, I might be just outnumbered here. I don't know if I like it enough for that. You know, it's like I think it's just stuff inherently that I don't like about the single player content is there, but I mean, not anything particularly special. You know, I mean, like I'll give it credit for looking gorgeous and being so easy to play, which is all a fighting game actually really needs, right? But
no. Not true.
Well, I guess but like
actually, the one thing a fighting game needs more than anything else is long-term depth of gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I said gameplay. I don't know. So it's just like I don't know. I don't know how long this will last me. You know, like how far into this I'll be interested in playing it. But which is why I would probably put it like under Stardew personally. But
whoa, that's way too low.
That's way.
It's a really good game, but also these are really good games on the list. It's just like
you've lost the crowd, Nuzamil.
Yeah.
Saf, how do you feel? Because you will be an important boy in this conversation.
Our opinions aren't set in stone. You can always sway us. That's the beautiful thing here.
Yeah. No, I was 100 with you guys. 100% with you guys, man. Like, everything you said about this game, I've totally agreed with, and I was totally 100% with the ideas of what you presented in terms of, like, the gameplay, the story, the criticisms. Like, this is the perfect place to put this game at this point in time. Below Donkey Kong Country 2.
I think it's unanimous-ish.
Yeah, well, see, like I said, Muzzy is always wrong. See, I proved my own point.
That was isolating for Muzamil. He was on an island. Kame House was all that was there next to him.
Well, we got our spot. It is officially number 4 on the list. We have 10 games on the list now. We did it. We got double digits. We got Ocarina of Time sitting at number 1. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, which got crowned on the last episode of the Jump Up Supercast, at number 2. Donkey Kong Country 2, number 3. Dragon Ball Fighterz, making its way to number 4. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, number 5. Super Mario 3D Land, number 6. Stardew Valley, tragically at number 7, much to Will's dismay. Crash Bandicoot at number 8. Metroid Other M at number 9, should be higher. Sonic the Hedgehog, 2006, number 10. It's the 10th best game of all time, guys. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Give it up.
Wildly, it's true. Good job, Sega. You're killing it.
Editor's note: this is the last time we will be reading out the list in its entirety.
Yes.
So you've probably reached double digits, so that's where we're done.
We'll never live.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll list the top 5, maybe. But that's about it.
We'll figure it out how we do it. But so just make sure you check out that description because you'll see the list in its entirety, and we'll give you the number that this plays at. Yeah. So.
You know, Brandon, I really enjoyed this. Do we get a chance to play another game?
I'm glad you asked, Saf. I am very glad you asked. Because, yes, we are going to play another game. In 2 weeks' time, we will also gather to talk about this game. And our very good friend, fellow Jump Up Supercast member, Noah, will be here for this next episode because I felt bad he doesn't have this game. He didn't get to join us here. But he's going. I let him pick the next game that we're going to play. And the game that he chose was Alundra for the PlayStation 1. So,
now this is a name that not a lot of people will recognize, so I think it's fair to give a little bit of introduction. This game is also available as a re-release on the PS3. It is a over-the-head Zelda-like game that has swords. It's got boards. You're playing it. It's going to be a good time. It has more RPG elements, I would say, than Zelda. But I don't want to give too much away because this will be a new experience for at least a few of the boys here. And it'll be exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm very excited. I did check out a little bit of gameplay. Got me real pumped. Looks really fun. And by the way, I most likely will be streaming this a couple of times in the next 2 weeks.
I would like to as well. So keep an eye out on the social media accounts for notifications of when we are live on twitch.tv/jumpupsupercast.
We will definitely let you know on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, all at Jump Up Supercast, and you will get to know when we are online playing them. Maybe get some first impressions before you actually get to hear the episode and interact with us. It'll be fun.
See us be dumb and not solve puzzles well.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Also see me curse like a sailor. That's always fun too. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to, like I said before, follow us on Jump Up Supercast on all the social media. Give us a like, give us a follow. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this. This is a little bit different from our normal episodes, and we're going to continue to do this every 2 weeks, like I said. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Go play some video games.
Bye.
Kick some ass, by the way.
I'm going to scream like a Super Saiyan 3 to end the show. Everyone, let's scream like Super Saiyan 3s to end the show.
Okay, I mean, I'm into that. All right. You guys ready?
All right, ready?
You're on.
2. We're in the show.
Oh, that was the dumbest thing ever.
That was really good.
I don't feel like fighting anymore.